The breaking point, the silence in the bridge of the exploration vessel Defiance, was deafening. Captain Sarah Chen stared at the holographic display floating before her, the blue light casting shadows across her weathered face. 3 decades of service to the Galactic Union had prepared her for many things, but not this, never this. "Ma'am, we're receiving confirmation from the surface," Lieutenant Rodriguez reported, his voice barely above a whisper. "The entire Kepler 7 colony is gone. All 50,000 residents." Sarah closed her eyes for a moment, feeling the weight of those numbers settle on her shoulders like stones. 50,000 human lives, extinguished in a matter of hours by Zephyrian raiders who struck without warning, without mercy, and apparently without consequence. "Any survivors?" she asked, though she already knew the answer from Rodriguez's expression. "Negative, Captain. The Zephyrians used plasma bombs on the residential sectors. They didn't just want the mining equipment. They wanted to send a message." The bridge crew exchanged glances, their faces reflecting the same mixture of grief and rage that burned in Sarah's chest. For 3 years, human colonies on the Outer Rim had been suffering attacks from various alien raiders. Each time, Earth had appealed to the Galactic Union for protection, for justice, for something more than empty promises and bureaucratic delays. Each time, they had been told to be patient. Captain, Communications Officer Park, spoke up from her station. "We're receiving a priority transmission from Earth Command." "Put it through." The hologram shifted, revealing the stern face of Admiral Catherine Torres, head of Earth's diplomatic mission to the Galactic Union. Her usually composed demeanor was cracked, revealing something Sarah had never seen before. In the veteran diplomat, defeat. "Sarah, I assume you've seen the reports from Kepler 7. "Yes, Admiral. We arrived 6 hours too late to help, but early enough to witness the aftermath." Admiral Torres nodded grimly. "I've just come from an emergency session with the Galactic Council. The Zephyrian representative claims it was a rogue faction acting without government approval. The Altarian mediator suggests a formal investigation that could take months. The crystalline delegate recommended economic sanctions that won't take effect for a year." Sarah felt her jaw tighten. "And what about justice for the 50,000 humans who died today?" "There will be a memorial service," Admiral Torres said bitterly. "The Council is very good at memorial services." The captain of the Defiance had heard enough. She had watched this same scenario play out dozens of times over the past 3 years. Human colonies attacked, human lives lost, and the Galactic Union's response always the same. Investigations, committees, strongly worded statements, and ultimately nothing. "Admiral, what are our orders?" Admiral Torres paused, and Sarah could see something shifting behind her eyes. When she spoke again, her voice carried a different tone entirely. "Your orders, Captain, are to return to Earth immediately. All human vessels are being recalled. All diplomatic missions are being terminated." Sarah blinked. "Terminated? Admiral, I don't understand." "You will, Captain. Earth is withdrawing from the Galactic Union, effective immediately." The bridge fell completely. Silent. Even the ambient hum of the ship's systems seemed muted by the weight of that statement. Sarah felt the universe shift around her, realizing that everything she had known for 30 years was about to change forever. "Ma'am," she said carefully, "are you saying we're leaving the Union entirely?" "That's exactly what I'm saying, Captain. President Martinez is addressing the galaxy in 1 hour. For 2 centuries, humanity has been the junior partner in this galactic community. We followed their rules, respected their customs, contributed our resources and our people to their vision of peace and prosperity. Admiral Torres leaned forward, and Sarah could see the fire building in her eyes. But they never saw us as equals. We were useful labor, convenient soldiers, expendable colonists. Well, they're about to learn what happens when the foundation of their economy decides to walk away. Rodriguez whistled softly under his breath. Admiral, what about our trade agreements? Our colonies that are integrated with Union supply chains? Our citizens working on Union worlds? All human assets are being withdrawn or secured, Torres replied. Every human trading vessel, every human-operated facility, every human worker. On Union worlds, we're bringing them all home. Sarah's mind raced through the implications. Humanity might be considered the junior member of the Galactic Union, but human ships carried 60% of all interstellar cargo. Human engineers maintained the hyperspace relay networks that connected distant worlds. Human colonies produced the rare earth minerals that powered Union technology. They'll never allow it, she said. The economic disruption alone. They'll try to stop us, Admiral Torres agreed. But they made one crucial mistake over the past 2 centuries. They assumed we needed them more than they needed us. The transmission continued for another 10 minutes, with Admiral Torres outlining the immediate steps of what she called the silent revolution. Human ships would stop honoring Union transit passes. Human colonies would cease exports to Union worlds. Human workers would resign from their positions en masse. But it was more than economic warfare. Sarah began to understand that this had been planned for months, perhaps years. Every human vessel was equipped with advanced sensors and weaponry that the Union had never seen. Every human colony had defensive systems that had been quietly installed under the guise of mining equipment. Humanity had been preparing for this day, while still hoping it would never come. After the transmission ended, Sarah turned to face her crew. 23 men and women who had served faithfully in the Union fleet, exploring unknown worlds and making first contact with dozens of species. Now they were no longer Union officers. They were something new entirely. You heard the Admiral, she said, her voice steady despite the chaos in her thoughts. We're going home, but first, we're going to make a few stops, Captain, Rodriguez asked. Sarah called up a star chart on the main display, highlighting several systems in red. There are 17 human colonies in this sector that don't know what's happening yet. Some of them are probably under threat right now from raiders who think they can act with impunity. She looked at each member of her crew, seeing her own determination reflected in their faces. The Union failed to protect our people. That doesn't mean we have to. Chief Engineer Zara Okonkwo, a brilliant woman whose innovations had secretly been keeping human ships ahead of Union technology for years, stood up from her console. Captain, if we're no longer bound by Union regulations on weapons and defensive systems. Sarah smiled grimly. Exactly, Chief. I think it's time these raiders learned what human ships can really do when we're not holding back. The next 6 hours changed everything Sarah thought she knew about her own species. As the Defiance warped toward the first threatened colony, messages began flooding in from across the galaxy. Human vessels were abandoning their Union escorts and operating independently. Human colonies were activating defense systems that made Union military bases look primitive by comparison. On the remote mining world of Haven's Rest, the Defiance arrived just as a Zephyrian raiding fleet was moving into attack position. Sarah watched the enemy ships through her view screen, counting 12 heavily armed cruisers against her single exploration vessel. Under Union rules, she would have been required to hail them, offer them a chance to withdraw, and file a formal complaint. If they refused, those rules no longer applied. "All hands, battle stations," she announced calmly. "Chief Okonkwo, bring our real weapons online." The transformation of the Defiance was something to behold. Panels slid away to reveal weapon systems that had been hidden for years. The ship's energy output tripled as power systems that had been masked as research equipment came fully online. Most impressive of all, the ship's hull began to shimmer as adaptive armor plating activated for the first time outside of secret tests. The Zephyrian fleet never knew what hit them. 12 cruisers became expanding clouds of debris in under for minutes. The Defiance didn't suffer so much as a scratch on its hull. The colonists of Haven's Rest watched in amazement as their small exploration vessel, a ship they had seen as primarily scientific, single-handedly destroyed a raiding fleet that should have overwhelmed it. Word spread quickly through underground channels. Humanity had revealed its teeth at last. As Sarah stood on her bridge, watching the wreckage of the enemy fleet drift in space, she received a message from the colony below. The governor, a weathered woman named Patricia Voss, appeared on screen with tears in her eyes. "Captain Chen, I don't know how you did that, but thank you. We thought we were going to die today. Governor Voss, you're not alone anymore. No human colony will face these threats alone again. But Captain, what happens now? The Union will retaliate. They'll say we're rebels, pirates, terrorists." Sarah looked out at the stars, thinking about the 50,000 dead on Kepler-7, the Admiral's words about memorial services, and the choice her species had finally made. "Let them say what they want, Governor. We've been following their rules for 200 years, and look where it got us. Now we follow our own rules." The silent revolution had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Ripple Effect 3. Months after Earth's withdrawal from the Galactic Union, Captain Sarah Chen stood in the command center of the newly established Firebase Alpha, watching reports flood in from across the galaxy. What had begun as humanity's quiet exit from galactic politics had become something far more significant. The universe was fracturing along lines no one had anticipated. "Captain, we're receiving another distress call," reported Commander Marcus Webb, Earth's newly appointed sector coordinator. His weathered face showed the strain of coordinating rescue operations across 17 star systems simultaneously. "The Meridian colony is under siege by a combined Zephyrian-Vorthan fleet. They're demanding surrender and threatening to repeat." "What happened at Kepler-7? Sarah studied the tactical display, noting the enemy fleet composition. 43 ships, including several heavy battle cruisers that the Union had sold to the Zephyrians under defensive aid agreements. 3 months ago, such a force would have been unstoppable against a human colony. Today, things were different. "How long until our relief force arrives?" "The retribution and vengeance are 18 hours out," Webb replied. "But Captain, that's cutting it close. The colonists are reporting that the siege fleet is moving into bombardment position." Sarah nodded grimly. The past 3 months had transformed not just humanity's relationship with the galaxy, but humanity itself. The careful masks of the limitation that Earth had maintained for 2 centuries had been discarded. Human ships now operated with their full capabilities unleashed. Human colonies activated defense systems that made them nearly impregnable. and human engineers worked openly on projects that would have been considered impossible under Union oversight. But the most significant change wasn't technological, it was psychological. Humanity had stopped asking for permission. Commander Webb signaled the Meridian colony. "Tell them to activate Protocol 7. Webb raised an eyebrow. "Ma'am, are you sure? Protocol 7 hasn't been tested under combat conditions." "It's been tested enough," Sarah replied. "And these people need to know. They're not helpless." Across the galaxy, on the agricultural world of Meridian, Governor James Mitchell received Sarah's message with a mixture of hope and terror. Protocol 7 was part of the new reality Earth had revealed to its colonies. Every human settlement, no matter how small or remote, had been quietly equipped with defensive capabilities that seemed like science fiction just months before. The secret was fusion technology, not the controlled fusion that powered Union ships, but something far more advanced. Human scientists had achieved stable fusion at room temperature decades ago, but had hidden the breakthrough from their galactic neighbors. Now, with the pretense of technological inferiority abandoned, that hidden advancement was being put to use. Governor Mitchell activated the protocol from his office bunker, watching as automated systems across his planet came to life. Agricultural processing plants revealed themselves to be camouflaged weapon batteries. Irrigation systems doubled as shield generators. Even the orbital weather satellites transformed into defensive platforms. The Zephyrian fleet commander, Admiral Kreshtar, watched in disbelief as the seemingly defenseless human world bristled with enough firepower to challenge a Union battle group. Energy readings from the planet's surface spiked beyond anything his sensors could measure accurately. "Impossible," he muttered, his reptilian features twisting in confusion. Intelligence reports indicated minimal defensive capabilities. His tactical officer, a younger Zephyrian named Velkari, checked the readings again. "Admiral, the energy output from that planet suggests they have at least 50 fusion reactors operating simultaneously. Our records show Meridian as an agricultural world with a population of 30,000. Admiral Kreshtar had built his career on raiding human colonies. They were supposed to be soft targets, defended by outdated weapons and relying on Union protection that never came in time. This new reality challenged everything he thought he knew about warfare in this sector, but he had committed to this attack, and retreating would mean losing face with his allies, the Vorthans, insectoid creatures, who had joined the raid in exchange for a share of the colony's resources, would spread word of Zephyrian weakness throughout their territory. All ships commence bombardment. Whatever they're hiding down there, it can't withstand sustained orbital fire. The attack began with a thunderous exchange of energy weapons. 43 alien ships opened fire simultaneously, their combined firepower enough to glass the surface of a small moon. The colonists of Meridian watched through reinforced bunker viewports as the sky lit up with brilliant flashes of intercepted weapons fire. The planet's defense grid had activated fully. Hundreds of concealed installations across Meridian's surface fired in coordinated volleys, their targeting systems linked through quantum communication networks that operated faster than light. Shield projectors created overlapping defensive barriers that deflected most incoming fire, while automated missile systems launched swarms of guided projectiles that moved too quickly for alien point defense systems to track. Admiral Kreshtar watched his fleet's bombardment fail spectacularly. Not only was the human planet defending itself effectively, but it was fighting back with weapons technology that surpassed anything in the Union arsenal. "Admiral, we've lost the Bloodfang and the Razorwing," Valkyrie reported, his voice tight. with fear. The humans are using some kind of guided plasma that can change direction mid-flight. That's impossible. Plasma dissipates too quickly to maintain coherence through course corrections. Tell that to the crews of the Bloodfang, sir. The battle raged for 6 hours. By the time it ended, the Zephyrian Vorthan fleet had been reduced to 11 ships, all heavily damaged and fleeing toward the system's edge. Meridian's defense grid had suffered minimal damage, and the colony's 30,000 residents had emerged from their bunkers to witness something unprecedented in galactic history. A human agricultural world had defeated a major alien. Battlefleet.news of the victory spread through both human and alien communication networks with stunning speed. In the Union capital, on Nexus Prime, emergency sessions of the Galactic Council convened to address what they were beginning to recognize as a fundamental shift in the balance of power. High Counselor Vexstar, the crystalline being who had mediated countless disputes between member species, found himself facing questions he couldn't answer. His crystalline form, normally a stable blue-green color, flickered with stress patterns as he addressed the assembled representatives. The situation with the human exodus has become more complex than initially projected, he began, his translated voice carrying undertones of concern that universal translators struggled to convey. Economic disruption from the withdrawal of human shipping and logistics services has affected 47 member worlds. Trade routes that have operated for centuries have become unusable without human navigational expertise. Ambassador Dani of the Altarian Confederation raised a tentacle in question. High Counselor, our analysis suggests the humans were more integral to Union operations than any of us realized. They weren't just participants in our economy, they were its foundation. Vexstar's crystalline structure pulsed with acknowledgement. That assessment appears correct. Ambassador Thane, human vessels carried approximately 60% of all interstellar cargo. Human technical expertise maintained the hyperspace relay networks that connect our worlds. Human colonies produced the rare minerals essential to our advanced technologies. The Zephyrian representative, a different individual than the admiral currently fleeing from Meridian, interjected with typical aggression. Then we forced them back into compliance. They're primitives who got lucky with a few weapons upgrades. A coordinated Union fleet could crush their resistance in weeks. The chamber fell silent. Every being present had received reports of the battles at Haven's Rest, Meridian, and a dozen other human worlds. The pattern was consistent. Human colonies that had seemed defenseless were revealing military capabilities that rivaled Union core worlds. Ambassador Thane spoke carefully. With respect to my Zephyrian colleague, recent engagements suggest that human military capabilities have been underestimated. The destruction of Admiral Kreshtar's fleet at Meridian involved weapons technology that our scientists cannot explain. Room temperature fusion, said a new voice from the chamber's entrance. Every head turned to see Dr. Elena Vasquez, Earth's former chief scientific liaison to the Union, walking calmly toward the speaker's podium. She had been presumed to have returned to Earth with the other human diplomats. High Counselor Vex. Crystalline form shifted to deep red, a sign of extreme surprise. Dr. Vasquez, your presence here is unexpected. According to our records, all human diplomatic personnel have been withdrawn. Elena smiled politely as she took her place at the podium. At 62, she had spent 30 years working with alien scientists, sharing carefully edited versions of human research, while quietly observing everything the Union's member species had to offer. Now, for the first time, she could speak openly. I'm not here as a diplomat, High Counselor. I'm here as a scientist, to explain to you exactly what humanity has been capable of all along. She activated a holographic projector, filling the chamber with technical diagrams that made several alien scientists gasp in recognition. For 200 years, humanity has maintained the fiction that we were technologically inferior to our galactic neighbors. We did this not out of deception, but out of caution. We wanted to understand you before we revealed ourselves. The diagrams showed fusion reactors no larger than briefcases, producing energy outputs that should have required facilities the size of small cities. They showed materials, science advances that made human ship hulls effectively indestructible. They showed AI systems that operated at quantum levels, processing information faster than any computer in the Union. The weapons that defended Meridian operate on principles your scientists haven't discovered yet, Alina continued. The ships that destroyed the raiders at Haven's Rest use propulsion systems that can traverse the galaxy in weeks rather than months. The communication networks that coordinate our colonies operate instantaneously across any distance. She paused, letting the implications sink in. You asked us to be junior partners because you believed we had less to offer. In reality, we accepted that role because we hoped peaceful coexistence was possible. The Zephyrian representative snarled. You're saying humans have been lying to us for 2 centuries. No, Alina replied calmly. We've been protecting you from the truth for 2 centuries. Do you know what happens when a species with our technological advantages decides that peaceful coexistence is no longer possible? She activated another hologram, this one showing star maps with expanding spheres of influence. In the 3 months since Earth's withdrawal, 43 alien species have requested formal alliance with humanity. Not because they fear us, but because they've realized what the Union leadership apparently hasn't. The old order is ending. High Counselor Vextar's crystalline form flickered through several colors before settling on deep purple and mixed with fear. Dr. Vasquez, what are humanity's intentions regarding the Union? Alina looked around the chamber, seeing the faces of beings she had worked with for decades, many of whom she considered friends, despite the species barriers between them. That depends entirely on whether the Union can learn from its mistakes. She began walking toward the exit, then paused. Oh, and High Counselor, you might want to check your intelligence reports from the Outer Rim territories. 17 more. Alien governments declared independence from the Union this morning. It seems they prefer the idea of human protection to Union indifference. As Dr. Alina Vasquez left the chamber, the assembled representatives sat in stunned silence, finally beginning to comprehend the magnitude of what humanity's withdrawal really meant. The silent revolution wasn't just about human independence. It was about the birth of a new galactic order, with humanity at its center, and across the galaxy, on worlds both human and alien. People were beginning to choose sides in a conflict that would reshape the very structure of interstellar civilization.